Welcome to the Los Angeles Sentinel Daily Brief. This is where we talk Black and talk back to the headlines that are impacting the Black experience. I'm Niele Anderson, and here's what you need to know for today. President Joe Biden plans to mark the 2-year anniversary of the January 6, 2021 riots by Trump supporters by awarding, the first time in his presidency, the Presidential Citizens Medal to 12 people. Now, the individuals include law enforcement officers who were injured defending the Capitol, a Capitol police officer who died the day after the rioters stormed the building, and election workers who rejected efforts by former President Donald Trump to overturn the results of the 2020 election. As many still look to those responsible to be held accountable, including Donald Trump, for that horrific day in American history, many ask the question, what if they were Black? Would they have been allowed to take it that far? Now, I posed this question to Civil Rights Attorney Lee Merritt, and here's what he had to say.
My truthful experience as an adult, as a civil rights attorney, working in the American criminal justice system, is that it's not really interested in doing the business of justice when it involves, certain protected people, white males, with resources. I felt like what we see coming out of the committees and out of DC is a gross miscarriage of justice. This was a serious event in world history, in American history, and it should have serious consequences for everyone involved, including the president, on down. And I don't think we'll be able to produce that kind of outcome out of DC.
Wow.
We'll see some of the people who are responsible for violence on the ground level be punished. And I think that's appropriate. But it doesn't even begin to approach what we would see if Black Lives Matter staged a protest that involved storming the nation's capital.
That's what I wanted to ask you when we look at justice in this country and how it's dished out. What does that say to the criminal justice system in America?
Well, it continues to expose something that we know already. The justice system in America is not designed to serve the Black community. In fact, it's specifically designed to help control us. The letter of the law, the way the Constitution is set up, it puts all men on the equal playing field. But in application, based on years and years of being able to set up the system for themselves, it's not how it plays out. I'm happy to be a part of a community of people, of attorneys, generations of attorneys who have been working to bend the system to work for us, but we're nowhere close, right?
Yeah. Do you think Donald Trump will ever be held accountable for his actions for January 6th?
I think Donald Trump is more likely to be president than he is to be a prisoner for a second time. I think that we underestimated how strong his following is and how effective the mantra of hate and this gross nationalism based on the oppression of some scapegoated class. It works. It has worked for him in the past. It did not work out in 2020 because of the pandemic and some other factors. While I don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed, I do think he's strategic. I think we're more likely to see him in the White House than in a prison cell.
Thank you, Attorney Merritt, for sharing your thoughts and insights on this horrific day that happened in American history. This is also a prime example of how Black people and people of color are treated versus of how white people are treated, and why we need to either bust up this criminal justice system or it needs some serious reforms. And we also want to say thank you to civil rights attorneys like Lee Merritt, Demario Solomon Simmons, Ben Crump, Sue Ann Robinson, and so many others that are truly changing the voice and the look of what criminal justice looks like in this country. For the latest in Black news, you want to visit lasentinel.net. And don't forget, the Daily Brief is available wherever podcasts can be found. I'm Niele Anderson, and you have just been debriefed.